Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is all about Core J, which is what I'll be using to teach my 8th grader in the upcoming school year, which would be the 21-22 school year. I tried to make this into one video, but it was just way too long, so I broke it up by history and Bible. That's going to be this video, and the next video is going to be the read alouds and readers for Core J, the history of science. I'm going to be starting with history, and I'm working through these in the order that we will be doing them in the upcoming school year. I'm also going to timestamp them below so they're easy for you to find, but this is the order in which they are put out next year. I'm starting with history. This is the first book we'll be reading. It's called The Story of Science. And to be clear, with 8th grade, by the time that they get to 8th grade, you don't have to read the science out loud. The kids can read the science themselves, or sorry, the history themselves. So this is all part of the history, and we're doing the history of science for Core J. So my son, who I call J, is going through Core J, and he will be reading The Story of Science. So there's a couple different The Stories of Science, and this one is The Story of Science, Aristotle Leads the Way. Okay, I'm just going to tell you a little bit about what this book is. Along the way, readers will learn: what can a baboon bone tell us about calendars? Why can't we feel the earth moving? And how did math contribute to Archimedes' death? So there's a whole big thing on the back. I'm not going to try to read the whole thing, but this will be book one. The next one we'll be reading is String, Straight, Edge, and Shadow, and that's the story of geometry. So this book is sounded really interesting. I already got super excited reading through everything we're going to be doing this year. I'm going to read you a little bit from the back again. So whether you're learning geometry for the first time, teaching it to your students, or helping your children through their first geometry course, this is a must-read for everyone. You'll be fascinated with the graphic illustrations and written depiction of how the knowledge and wisdom of so many cultures helped shape our civilization today. So this one looked really interesting, by Julie E. Diggins, again, linked below. Okay, next one we'll be reading is Archimedes and the Door of Science. There was some cute little things on the back, but this kind of long to read. So I'm just going to read you like a little tiny blip from the back. Though it was impossible for Archimedes to move the physical world, there is no doubt that he moved the world of science. So that's just a little quote from the back, super interesting, by Gian Bendick. And yeah, next we'll be reading Ida Scudder, Healing Bodies and Touching Hearts. So I love the Christian Heroes Then and Now series. I always grab them if I can find them at Goodwill. I'm like, because I love them. This one also looked very interesting, and I am really excited to hear what this one is about. Again, I might not read all of these. My son can read them on his own just fine, but I'm sure that I will either hear about them, I'll also go through the discussion questions with him, and I might read some of them. The Story of Science, Newton at the Center. Ooh, this one looks so good. Science after the Middle Ages was in a sorry state of affairs. Much knowledge had been lost in the aftermath of the collapse of the Roman world. So this looks so interesting. I already read a little bit about it because I was just so excited, but I can't wait to get into this one with him and hear about this. Okay, next up will be The Clockwork Universe by Edward Donlick. This one, again, looked very interesting. I'll just read you a little bit from the back. In a world of chaos and disease, one group of driven, idiosyncratic geniuses envisioned a universe that ran like clockwork. They were the Royal Society, the men who made the modern world. Isaac Newton, The Royal Society and the Birth of the Modern World. Again, looks super interesting. Longitude by Davis Orbell. I hope I'm saying the author's name correct. We just read Carry On, Mr. Bowditch, which was also about navigation, so I'm actually really curious how this kind of ties into that. So this will be really good, and it's got a foreword by Neil Armstrong. Okay, so this one is The Mystery of the Periodic Table, the solution to the mystery. I hope this is helpful. I hope you guys are enjoying seeing all these books. I was giddy going through them, and it's kind of funny because as an adult, I have found so much more interest in science than I did as a child. I did find it interesting, but I guess I never got my hands on quite the right books that really kept that excitement or thrill for me. So I'm actually super excited about all of these books that we're going through with Core J. Also, if you're new to my channel, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss my next video. I make videos every single week about homeschooling, curriculum, and reviews, and I'd love to have you guys join me for the next one. The next one is Stuff Matters by Mark Miodownik. I hope I'm saying his name right again. This looks super, super interesting, obviously about matter. Next is The Story of Science again, but this one is Einstein Adds a New Dimension. Sometimes it can seem like science just comes fully formed. A textbook can tell us the Milky Way is a galaxy, the sun is 93 million miles away, or gravity bends light. But such a book often leaves out some of the most interesting stuff about that hard-won knowledge. How anyone ever figured it out, and even why anyone was wondering about it to begin with. This sounds so good, I can't wait to read it. Bomb, the race to build and steal the world's most dangerous weapon. So this looks really interesting. It's got a lot of awards, and some of the things that were said about it were a brilliant, fast-paced biography that reads like an adventure novel, one of the most exciting biographies young readers will find. History junkies are in for a treat when they pick up this lively, highly readable biography, a worthy addition to all libraries. This is by Steve Shinkin, and it looks really, really interesting. I think my son will really enjoy this book. Okay, we're getting to the end of the history, and then we're going to have 3 books that are the Bible portion of the history and Bible in Core J. The next one is Science, Censored, the Suppressed Evidence. I'm really excited to get into this book. It's got a lot of photographs and interesting information, and I'm really, really quite excited about it. I think this is one that my kids are going to enjoy just like looking through too. Evolution 2.0 by Perry Marshall. Breaking the deadlock between Darwin and design. Again, this sounds really, really interesting to me. I'm just going to read you one of the reviews on the back that I found really interesting, and it's by Jean-Claude Perez, author of Codex Biogenesis. He says, standing on the knife edge between conventional evolutionary theory and design, this book will inflame both dogmatic Darwinists and creationists. So, this will be the final book that we read. Well, actually, this will be, but it's quite small. I'm guessing this is like a few days. Anyway, this will be the last like big book that is for the history for 8th grade. Okay, and this one is Interpreting Genesis with Integrity, Condensed Outline Edition. So John Holzman, I believe, is the founder, or in the same family as like the family founders of Sonlight. I definitely recognize that name, and it's published by Sonlight. This will be the final book. And that'll be awesome. Next up, we have just 3 books, because they're big books that we'll be going through for the Bible portion of Sonlight. So the way that Sonlight works is like you work through it, and the Bible part is obviously, I mean, you saw how many books there were for history, and the Bible portion is a little bit smaller, but there's also Bible memory that coincides with it and other things like that. So these are the 3 books that are kind of the Bible portion of Sonlight for Core J. Philip Yancey. Disappointment with God, 3 questions no one asks out loud. So I think this will be really interesting. I'm excited to do this. I will be doing Bible with my son. I might not be doing all the history books with him, but I will be doing the Bible portion of it, just because I like to be able to read some really good books and also have discussion questions with him. This one is called Finding Truth by Nancy Piercy, and again, it looks really, really good. It says 5 principles for unmasking atheism, secularism, and other God substitutes. So definitely excited to read this with my 8th grader. And last is Philip Yancey, What's So Amazing About Grace. I'm going to read you again, just a little thing from the back. It says, we speak often of grace, but do we understand it? More importantly, do we truly believe in it? And do our lives proclaim it as powerfully as our words? Just really excited to go through this one with him as well. So that concludes the history and the Bible portion of Sonlight for Core J. My next video is going to be the read-alouds and the books that he's reading. So the read-alouds and the readers that he'll be working through next year. If you guys have not already checked out Sonlight's website, I urge you to do so. This video is not sponsored. I wish it were. I love their stuff. I think they have amazing books, and if nothing else, go through their book list and just see what they're suggesting as read-alouds for the ages or the grades that your kids are in, because they have amazing book suggestions. So if I wasn't already buying the whole core every single year, I would at least be going through and ordering a lot of the books that they recommend, especially for the read-alouds. Thank you again so much for watching. If you know of anybody who's looking at what curriculum they're going to be using next year, be sure to share this video with them so they can see if Sonlight would be a good fit for them, and I'll see you guys on the next video. Idiosyncratic, I can't say this word on camera. It's not even that hard, it's just like, it's not like rolling off my tongue right.